For many years, I've advised franchisors and franchisees on their legal matters. I've studied franchising at master's level. My firm is a member of the Quality Franchise Association, and I hold a few accreditations from the British Franchise Association. So in this video, we'll discuss everything you need to know about how to set up your franchise business from a legal perspective. Make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out how to properly protect your business's most important asset, its intellectual property. Fantastic, let's get started. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Hopefully you can see this. And this is a breakdown or an overview of the kind of structure that you might want to implement with your franchise. At the top here, we have the franchisor, and this is the business, the legal entity that owns all of the most important assets, the intellectual property like the trademarks, but also the know-how of how to run that business. Then we have the master franchisor. And the master franchisor can either be you as a separate legal entity, and this is most common if you are now starting your franchise business and you'll be starting it in your home country, for example, the UK. Or it can be a third party if you're expanding into different territories, different countries, and you want to appoint someone who is local to that country and understands how to find and recruit franchisees. Now, the job of the master franchisor as an entity is almost to act as a sub-franchisor. And as I hinted at before, its real job is to find franchisees and franchise to them your franchise business. The reason why you might want to set up a separate legal entity as a master franchisor, even if it is completely owned by you in your local home country, is to create separation between you as a franchisor that owns all of the important assets and the franchisees. You don't want to have a contractual relationship between the franchisor and the franchisee directly, ideally, because the franchisees carry too much risk. You want to distance yourself to avoid litigation that is directly with the entity that owns all of the important assets. Amazing. So between the franchisor and the master franchisor, we'll want to have a master franchise agreement. The master franchise agreement will be quite similar to the typical franchise agreement, with one main difference, which is the sales targets, which are expressed as targets in recruiting franchisees. This is only going to be really applicable if you are indeed expanding into a separate territory and appointing a master franchisee that is not you. Moving on to the franchisees. Now, certainly you'll be familiar with what the franchisee does. And in short, it represents your business and sells your products or your services according to your franchise business, according to your handbook, systems, processes, and under your brand. The kind of contract that is in place between the master franchisor and the different franchisees is the standard franchise agreement. Now, before we discuss the top 3 things that you must include in your franchise agreement, make sure to subscribe to the channel to continue to receive to the point, practical and pragmatic legal information and templates. On the topic of templates, I've linked in the description below a template guide that you can download right now for free that tells you exactly how to implement this structure. Also, if you want a qualified solicitor to assist you with your franchise needs, make sure to check the description below, which contains my WhatsApp number and email. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. Coming back to the franchise agreement, these are the top 3 things to include. Number 1, an obligation on the franchisee to follow your handbook. Now, as I'm sure you will know, the handbook will be usually a chunky document that tells the franchisee exactly how to run the franchised business. The purpose of the handbook is to ensure that clients, customers, consumers, anyone from the public who deals or has interactions with any of your franchisees has the same experience every single time. Amazing. Moving on to the second main thing, you'll want to include a license of your intellectual property to the franchisees. So you're going to be licensing the right to use your trademarks and to benefit from your know-how. You want to word this as a license because you want to be able to revoke this license, for example, at the end of the term of the franchise agreement. Then you'll also want to ensure that the franchisees get exclusivity over a specific territory. Now, this is something that they will expect. But as a pro tip, I would advise all of my clients to at least consider making the territorial exclusivity subject to or conditional upon the franchisee meeting a specific sales target. The advantage of doing so is to avoid a scenario whereby you grant exclusivity over an important territory to a franchisee who turns out to not be able to perform, and for 5 years, for example, you are unable to monetize the territory as much as you could have. As a bonus tip for watching this video until now, I'm sharing this expert tip that you might want to include in your franchise agreement, which is a template set of clauses that the franchisee must negotiate into their lease with their landlord for the premises that they will be leasing. And these template clauses should allow you as the franchisor or the master franchisor to take over the premises in case the franchisee does not perform, for example. The benefit is that it allows you to take over a location that might be valuable to you. Now, we've discussed in length how to protect the franchisor from the franchisees. And the reason was to protect that intellectual property, the most valuable asset for a franchise business. But how do you properly protect it? By, for example, registering it and implementing a group structure of entities. To find out, watch this video linked right here. Thank you for watching.